the Daily Yield. Thanks to everyone for following along. We're live here at 2 p.m. every day. And if you've got a question, please jump in to the chat at any time and we'll get to whatever we can today. Today, I'm here with Plukas and Daniel, as always. We are part of the Plow team. Plukas is an engineer who I've asked to join us today because we're going to be talking about token efficiency and token economics. So the cost of a good answer. So every time you ask an AI to do something real, there's a meter running. The question that nobody likes to say out loud is what a good answer actually costs and whether you can get a better one without burning more to get it. So for a 6-person company, betting that it can build at the scale of a much bigger one, that math isn't academic. So let me start here. Plukas, is token efficiency becoming the next competitive advantage in AI?
Yeah, I think it's definitely going to become a competitive advantage. I mean, we're already seeing that these large model companies are starting to charge more and more for tokens. We were getting away with these subsidized pricing. We could run subscriptions for $200 a month. We could get thousands and thousands of dollars of inference. And now that's slowly going away. The larger organizations, you can no longer use subscriptions. They're charging per token. Even with the newer models you saw with Fable, for the few days that it was released, they were like, okay, we're only going to do this on subscription for a month, or for a week rather, and then it's going to go token pricing. Maybe it'll come back to subscription. So anyways, we're starting to like pay real prices for this stuff. And so the more efficient that you can be, that's definitely going to be an advantage. These larger models too are also like just doing more and more, and they're really, like, Fable was super aggressive. It was like really, really going after problems and working for a really long time. So, if you're not careful with like how you direct that thing, that can become pricey really quick.
What was your experience running Fable?
Yeah, I mean, my experience was I used it for like a day, and then I saw my subscription. I was like 80% of the week was used already, and then I was like, okay, I need to take a step back and figure out how to harness this thing, and then it went away before I could get too far down that.
When Fable was released, I was like hyped to try it out because there was a lot of people like publishing stuff, right? And then I saw my I don't know if I started using, and then I watched my token burn, my token usage for that given period. It was like, I think at 90%. Just as I started using Fable, like I was at 100%. I thought, okay, maybe this wasn't Fable. Maybe this was my agents. So let me get a second subscription and try it out, this Fable thing. Then I got the second subscription. I think it lasts like 30 minutes or something, and then my it was at 100% already.
Yeah, and it was also, they also like put in at least one of those like weekly resets in there too, and it's like immediately the week, that it reset the weekly down to 0, and then a few hours later, crawled right back up. I think I burned through a 5-hour window for the first time in like 90 minutes or something. That was just like from tethering from the back of a taxi too. So it wasn't like even in my real full setup going hard, but it's crazy.
I wasn't able to do anything with Fable. Like I have my agents, right, and they were using Fable, but they didn't do anything at all. Like I got 0 result from burning all those tokens.
Wow. Do you think that's because the work wasn't yet complete then?
So I don't know if that was a bug like from Anthropic when they released that, but we use that token maxing leaderboard, or I don't know if I am not tracking correctly, like the agents running the containers. But from token maxing, I burned like 50 million tokens, and that was the thing that got my 100% window burned. Versus and for instance, I can get like 1 billion tokens burned using Opus 4.8 and not like get my limit blown away.
Yeah, it's interesting because for me it was like this experience of running into these limits. I've been using Claude as like my primary driver for so long, but like because of these limits and me getting closer and closer to 100%, it's been me exploring more about like Gemini and going back to Codex more. So it's kind of been
Yeah,
an interesting flip.
I did the same. Like, so I was to the point of getting the second account, and then was burned, and it was like, there's no way I'm gonna get the third one. So I switched to Codex, but my harness is not does not support Codex. So I had
Yeah.
to like run a Codex standalone. Hey, can you change my harness to support Codex? And then started
Wow.
using Codex, but like all my engineers were gone, like all the contacts thrown away. So I was starting from zero with Codex. So I
Wait, so
installed.
even your people and my people setup are all Claudes?
I'm now it supports Codex as well, but
Okay.
there is one hook that Codex implements. No, that Claude implements that Codex doesn't. That is when the agent receives the message and starts working. This one Claude supports, and this is important for me because I can know if the agent's idle or working based on that hook, and Codex doesn't implement that hook.
Hmm.
So my preference was to use only Claude because of that. But yeah,
What does that mean? Start working versus receiving a message.
yeah, that's it. Like receiving the message, and I don't know if it's receiving the message only or receiving the message and start working. But this
Hmm.
start working hook, Claude supports and not Codex.
Interesting.
Do you think so? You mentioned that the kind of alternatives to Claude are Gemini and obviously Codex. Do you see a discernible difference in the cost when you try the next to each other?
Oh, that's an interesting question. I mean, we're so isolated from costs because we just run on the subscriptions here. Like we're very
Right,
fortunate to be able to do that. So like I
right,
think in terms of the subscription costs, they're all the same, but you can
right.
max them out at like pay up to $200 and then but yeah, I don't know like token for token what $200 of Gemini would be versus GPT 5.5 or Claude.
Do you ever like kind of move between like Sonnet and Opus to kind of protect? Do you ever use those kinds of make those choices?
Yeah, probably not as much as I should. I move around within. I like Opus because it has that like really large 1 million context window. And so the thing that I'll tweak with Claude more than anything is like the effort. And so we can keep
Mm,
within Opus, but then kind of dial down the effort on some tasks that don't need it. And I find that can go faster and can burn less that way.
right,
What
right.
about you, Daniel?
Um, I most of the time I'm using Claude now, and my most recent experience using Codex was when I had to switch because I was out of tokens on Claude, and I didn't have a pleasant experience on that change. So I consider like, okay, let's use Codex as my boss and the agents as Claude. That was my thinking, but they were doing like everything wrong. And and then like as soon as my context was up again with Claude, I just switched back to Claude, and I can't tell if that's because uh, the agents they set up Claude MD files or like this specific infrastructure
Yeah.
for Claude, and Codex didn't have that prepared for when he was being tested. So I didn't, I don't know, and I didn't care enough to test Codex performance. But something that will be interesting when we for example, when we have this setup that we can use the agent to validate if it can like one shot a seed, for example, see, okay,
Mhm.
this seed using Claude uses 100 milli tokens, and then I can see, okay, 100 milli tokens on Claude means X percentage on my context window, and then do the same thing on Codex and see like, okay, this is 200 million tokens on Codex, but this is Y% on my token burn, and maybe with this we will actually be able to know, okay, what is X amount of usage worth in outcome.
Yep. Exactly. Exactly. Because it's, I mean, that's going to be a real factor. I mean, so you're saying that right now we're still protected. We're kind of using billions of tokens, but we're still only paying a certain amount because subscriptions they're basically subsidizing this high usage, right? And at some point we're going to be all moved over. So what does that look like? When do you think that will come?
I'm not sure if Lucas is frozen.
Oh yeah, it looks like he's frozen.
Yeah, but I right now.
Sorry, I don't think it me.
Yeah, no worries. I don't know if this is current, but previously, like I don't know, a few weeks ago or ages ago in the AI age, $200 off subscription was worth $5,000 off API usage.
Right.
So yeah, I'm paying 200, but I'm using 5,000, and this is really cool for us devs. But maybe we are getting used to this abundancy of tokens. And so, for example, on my workflow, I don't care at all about burning tokens. As much as I can, I want to burn tokens. For example, I want to get top one on that leaderboard, and it takes a lot of tokens burned to get there. And so,
and for anyone who's watching, that we've referenced the leaderboard a number of times now, so I'm just going to give out the URL. It's tkmx.odio.dev, odio.dev, and this is basically where we're monitoring the top users of token maxing. So head over there and you can see Daniel on that leaderboard. But carry on, Daniel.
yeah. So today, I'm not optimizing for efficiency on token usage. I'm optimizing for quality of result, regardless of how many tokens I'm burning. But I can only do that because it is subsidized. Right. So I don't need to pay out of pocket. I don't need to pay 5K to run my experiments. I can just pay like 200, and that's what allow me to use as much AI as I use today. And there's a lot of people that come and talk to me about like, hey, when do you think they will stop subsidizing, or do you think they will stop? What we will do? Should I be learning to code to prepare when that happens, so I don't rely as much as on AI? And my response is like, even if they stop doing it, as long as like I'm paying $5,000 bucks per month, but I'm generating like a company that is worth like millions, so like that is the cost to get there. So as long as this math works out, companies will keep investing on that.
I mean, it seems to me there's such a value for, subsidizing it right now because there's a ton of training data that they're getting from users, even free users, right? Everyone has a free version. I'm sure that after the IPO, when there's a kind of more of a responsibility to the shareholders to actually turn, profit, that's probably when we're going to start to see some of these prices change. And until that time, I guess it's more about getting more people, market penetration and getting more people adopted. But you're right, there is a risk, right? Because we're starting to develop a dependency. We're not learning new code languages. We're putting a lot of stake in our access to AI. And if AI suddenly was turned off tomorrow, that becomes we're very vulnerable in that way.
Yeah. There is one question in the chat. Yeah, so Plukas, what do you think the mistakes that so let me read that again. What mistakes do teams make when they optimize purely for cost?
When you optimize purely for cost, well, one of the things that I've seen a lot is like if you don't invest enough in like your testing and your validation bits of the loop, it's like it's really not going to pay for itself because you're either going to like find bugs down the road or just like have to go back in yourself and fix stuff. Like the true cost savings comes from when like you're completely out of the loop and you can like, maybe do 20, 30 minutes up front to like talk with your agent, brainstorm, get a feature kicked off, and then it knows how to execute, it knows how to like get a code review, it knows how to verify its work and launch the browser, click the buttons, do whatever. And if you start to skimp out on that latter half and think it's just all about writing the code or maybe even getting a code review, like I think that's where that's one mistake that teams could make. That second half is really important, and at least when it comes to me, like, and I would imagine how a lot of people come to learn to use AI. It's like you kind of start off with just that first half of like, in VS Code, it's like okay, you have autocomplete. And then, now you're chatting with ChatGPT and you're copying and pasting like a whole function into your code. And now it's writing more stuff autonomously. Like you're kind of building up, but if you don't invest in that latter half, I think it might not be worth it in the end.
Yeah, yeah. And what type of tests do you usually develop when on stuff you're working on?
Yeah. So, I mean, maybe I've never been like a great engineer, but I've always really hated unit tests and like writing tests in general. Like for most of my career, I've written very little, and it's always been like me doing sort of end-to-end validation, like me running all the code and all the edge cases that I can think of. I don't know if I would recommend that as like a great engineering practice, but in terms of AI development, I think that's also what I'm finding to be most valuable is if you can teach the agent to use the product like as a human would, if it's a browser-based thing, have it open the browser autonomously, click through the flows. Like the more you can get in that line of thinking, the better it's been for me.
Nice. There's another question. User is asking what belongs in context and what belongs in memory, what belongs in cache or tools. Yeah. So how do you think about context versus memory, cache, and tools when working with your agents?
Yeah, I mean, I think we probably have similar takes on this, but I can talk a little bit about how like so Daniel has like my people, which is like his agentic workflow thing, and I have a very similar thing inspired by Daniel's called Kitchen, where you talk to a single sous chef, and then that can fan out to multiple cooks, and the cooks can be Claude or it can be Gemini or Codex, and so I have like a single kitchen kind of focused on a single feature at a time, like a specific work tree. And so I'll have like like Daniel's like project wiki be kind of at two different levels in there, which is just markdown files. So these agents can make notes for each other at like the worktree level. It's like, okay, this stuff is just going to be important just for this project, or it can make notes at the whole project layer. So every future worktree will also have access to this kind of stuff, to these notes. And so that's where I've been putting stuff like, here's how to call agent browser to open up the the web page, or like here's how to create an infrastructure cook which knows how to spin up the stack locally, or here's a deploy cook who knows how to like go and push this stuff to production.
Okay. As I'm understanding, per work tree you have different wiki folders or wikimd files. And is it like one wiki, or like you have a wiki that defines the deployment process, or does it define the process, or like how can I spawn an agent that knows how to do that, or is it the same?
Yeah, basically these cooks can have like roles, and these roles oftentimes are best at the project layer. So you can in the wiki you can define what like an infrastructure role would look like, and it knows how to use the just files to spin up the Docker and manage that. And sometimes I'll ask it to be like, hey, can you put this on my Tailscale so somebody else can view it? and it knows the right commands to run to do that. So those nodes kind of live inside this like infrastructure MD file that's in the wiki, and the cook just knows when I say infra cook to like look there and pull that and put that into its prompt.
And is it what do you call the boss? Is it sous chef?
Sous chef, yeah. So
Sous chef.
yeah, sous chef. So each kitchen has a sous chef, and then I'm like the boss talking to all of these different sous
Okay,
chefs.
you're the boss. And happen to need to retire a sous chef, install another sous chef.
Yeah,
And
yeah, quite yes. Sorry, go ahead.
how do you manage the transfer learning so that the new boss is not like a newbie? You're the boss, the new sous chef.
Right. Yeah. So I have this concept of like a handoff document, and so and it's in the sous prompting. It's designed like almost after every turn to go through and update the handoff doc to see if anything important is happened. It'll go up there. So if my computer, freezes on a live stream, for example, and I have to force quit all my applications and then hard reboot my computer, when I boot back up, just theoretically, when I boot back up, I can resume that session. I can resume the session, so I could go back in and take the actual like Claude UID of that chat and have that sous chef just like come back to life with the full thing. Or if his context gets too big, sometimes I'll just close it down, bring up a brand new sous chef, and I'll be like, hey, just refer to the handoff document, so you know where we left off. And then now he's at like the 4% starting thing, because he's just read the handoff and is pretty much up to date.
And is it this process of setting up the new sous chef, is it something that you do manually? You run some command, or like do you spawn a fresh Claude just to do that setup for you?
Yeah, today it's all manual. Yeah, based on my discretion about like when it's like kind of like a good stopping point and when the context is high. Like I'll just control C the cook or the chef, and then like kitchen open, do a new kitchen open either with a resume or a new one to get new context.
Yeah. So yesterday I was suffering from the same issue you had described, this theoretical issue. And it was a pain for me. Like I had the team, I have the boss, everyone's working happy. I was happy. And then I need to reboot the machine. So I changed my people. Now my UI has a button that says I can either like retire an agent. So I saved the command that was used. So all the flags that I passed and the ID for that session. So I can retire and respawn. And if I click respawn, I have the same agent back up and running. So
wow,
yeah,
that's cool. I mean, that's like, now that this is the second time I've rebooted my computer today, so maybe I should look into what's actually wrong. But like, it's making me think too that we should do this. Like I've never done it all the way down to that cook level of like restoring a tmux session and then like the 5 Claudes or whatever that are there. Like I've never like tried to restore at that level, but that state is easy enough to persist too. It's a good idea.
Yeah. Because the only thing I don't know how. The only thing you need is the session ID for Claude, and whatever the arguments you use for your own harness. So as long as you have that, you can have the same thing up and running. And in my case, as I'm using tmux, I can respawn the agent, and the tmux session I can access from the browser. So I can just click and see the panel there as well.
Yeah, that's cool, man. I don't have that feature.
Guys, we're gonna leave it there. Being quite strict about us finishing on time for these things. Thank you so much for joining us today, Plukas. We're excited to have you back another time. Thanks to everyone who watched. Tell your friends. Quick reminder that we're doing this at 2 p.m. every day. Talk through things that actually matter right now, the stuff that's hitting us firsthand, building Plow. The goal is to share what we're learning and provide a platform for discussion and to learn right back from you guys, anyone watching. So come hang out and check out watchmepivot.com. Thanks, guys. Yeah. See you tomorrow.
Thanks for having me. See you guys.
Bye.